Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports. When
It comes to Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
It's here. It's time. There's always a buzz in the air when you hit this moment.
He is a guy that has gotten better and better and better. He's just got that dog in him.
We will develop men. We will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
I think of him as this hawk. Before long, he's going to be swooping in on those quarterbacks.
And they embody what the school is about. It's about getting into hard situations and getting ourselves out. It's about working hard. It's about doing amazing things.
And this is a real program. It's not fake. This is a real place. And if you want to be really good at football, this is a really good place to be.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
Well, welcome in, everybody. It's TexAgs Live. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Olin Buchanan.
David Nuño.
Hat backwards, like Kendrick Lamar.
Really? I was thinking more like Ron Broniger.
Or like Ryan Bryan. I remember once I wore a hat on the luchador backwards.
Yeah.
Maybe a little too gangster, and I heard from people. I don't think you will.
I don't think.
No, you should. If you lifted it up a little higher, You want me to help you? Let me show you. Let me tell you what I'm talking about.
Well, okay.
I think I did.
Oh, like that from behind.
Kind of like that.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, it doesn't feel comfortable.
That's a fresh look for OB. It's for the flow B, the hair.
You know, it's
right?
funny because I've never worn a hat on the show.
Yeah, it looks good.
Like, unless I was making fun of Steve McGee. Remember I had the Hamilton Tiger?
Yeah.
But when I first came to, you know this, when I first came to TexAgs back in 2012, I was kind of the culture of my previous job. I showed up to work with a shirt and tie every day.
Yeah.
And it took me a couple of months to realize, I'm kind of bucking the culture.
Yeah.
So it took me a while, but I'm adapting to the TexAgs culture with this hat on. Because doesn't Lucci almost always wear a hat?
Lucci wears a hat. Bronny wears a hat. Richard wears a hat.
Yeah.
I don't know if Richard wears it on the show, actually.
No, I've seen him.
He does.
Not always, but yeah, I've seen him. So it's just it's a hat culture.
Anybody else? Nick? No, Nick's never done a hat, I don't think. Or if he has, maybe on a Sunday. Have you ever done the hat?
That cowboy hat.
I used to wear hats all the time when my hair was grown out, but now that I do the buzz cut, the David Nuño buzz.
Yeah, I'm going fro next.
It's awesome because you just get out of bed and it looks good. You don't have to mess with it.
Yep, no product, no nothing.
Nagley wears a hat.
Yeah. And by the way, that's the hat you wore yesterday to the game?
Yeah. My son, see, it says Alaska on it.
Mm-hmm.
So my son did an internship in Alaska 2 years ago, and he knows that that's one of the things I want to do in my life. It's a bucket list, is to visit Alaska. I've never made it. I hope to make it within the next 2 or 3 years. And so, brought me back a souvenir. So
Out of curiosity, what would you like to do in Alaska?
Sightsee, explore, eat a lot of those crabs that you see on the, what is it called, Deadliest Catch?
Yeah.
So I see them, I want to eat that.
You want to eat that?
So, yeah.
Okay. All right. Just making sure you had an item list that you wanted to do while you were there. What'd you think of the game last night? Some youngsters coming through.
Yeah, it was fun. If you like home runs, and who doesn't?
I like home runs.
Chicks dig the long ball, right?
I like our home runs.
Because there was a lot of home runs, 2 home runs on the other team. But for a while, you're a little bit frustrated because I think they only had 1 run through 5 or 6 innings, and then all of a sudden, you see them. And I'm not familiar with all the names yet. So Partita,
yep,
he had one to straightaway center field that was just ripped, and I'm like, okay, I like to see this from a freshman. And then the other kid,
Boston Kellner,
who?
Kellner.
Well, yeah, I think his was maybe a 2-run shot. And then
Jorian Wilson.
Yep. He'd been having a tough night.
He was 0 for 3, I think, right before.
Yeah, had a couple of strikeouts. Almost made a great catch in the outfield sliding. So, but I think it popped out. The ball popped out of his mitt as he was sliding on the ground.
Yeah.
So I know he was frustrated. And then he gets up and, man, he took out that frustration. He hit one to right field that was just crushed. And I love the way he responded because I think it was his first start.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's only a freshman, so he hadn't had a lot of that. and his first home run, and it was just such, I think it was more joy than frustration, but relieving that frustration as well. It was just fun to sit there and watch a young kid, a bunch of young kids just really sell. And the Bear came out of hibernation.
There we go. You asked for it, and you got it.
Yeah.
And how about the way Lions responded after a couple home runs? He did great.
Yeah, and I remember once they had a guy on second base, leadoff guy on second base, and he worked his way out of it. So, it was just a fun midweek game.
Yep. And I don't know about a fun midweek game for basketball. I'd say must be fun midweek game.
Yeah, they use the term must win so many times, and sometimes it is. Technically, this is not a must win because you still have 5 games.
But it feels like a must win.
If you can't beat this team at home, Ole Miss, you wonder why you would be confident with any game moving forward, because the quote lesser opponents that you still have left are starting to play better basketball, Oklahoma, LSU, and they're on the road.
Well, here's what I worry about.
Okay.
I know they've lost 7 in a row, right? I think it's 7
Ole Miss lost 7 in a row. The last 3 by double digits, even though some of them were closer games that got away from them.
Right. Here's what I worry. We were told similar stuff about Missouri. Physical team, has beaten some good teams, and I believe that Ole Miss has beaten some good teams. They beat Missouri, which I think they're good. They beat Georgia, which A&M has as well. They're a team that they're physical, they're good, they don't make a lot of turnovers, they're very disciplined. I want them to be very undisciplined today, and because A&M needs to feast on turnovers.
Yeah, I think it's probably a better matchup for A&M than, say, Missouri was. I think Missouri's one of those schizo teams. Without
good guards, good front court, or powerful front court.
But can be inconsistent. So, and A&M dang near beat them. Should have beat them, or at least could have beat them, I should say. I think that A&M matches up better with Ole Miss because Ole Miss just doesn't have as much just size. I think they got the kid, and I'm going to, Dia. He's 6'9", so that's manageable. And he's a good player, averages about 15 points a game. He's a good player. But, that size is more manageable.
Yeah, and they don't have the firepower. A&M, one of the best offensive teams in the SEC. And Ole Miss?
Yeah, I think they're last in the SEC.
74 points a game.
In scoring and rebounding.
Yeah.
So you got that. But, statistics, as we know, sometimes they don't hold true when the Aggies are playing, right?
But what has A&M scored the last few games, though? The Missouri game, they scored
85.
85. Okay. No,
85 against Missouri, 69 against Vanderbilt, 67 against Florida. That's their last 3.
Right. So they're gonna need to get back to their 85 plus 90 points a game.
Yeah. Against Florida, I wasn't surprised. Again, I kind of anticipated it. Against Vanderbilt, they just shot poorly. They shot poorly against Florida too, but Florida's so big. And if they play offensively like they played against Missouri, I think they're going to be okay.
Yeah.
Of course, hit 11 for 3-pointers in the first half, you should be okay. I'll say this. I'm going to go out on a limb. If A&M makes 11 3-pointers in the first half against Ole Miss, I think they're going to have more than a 5-point lead at halftime.
I would think so.
I'll go out on that limb.
Do you think? Okay, you went to the press conference yesterday with Bucky, right? But any takeaways from him? He's very matter of fact, and this is what it is, right?
Yeah, understanding the situation. Again, he doesn't say it's. He said, I'm not going to say it's a must win and put that on our guys because there are 5 more games. I think he's still confident in this team. That's what I get from it. But he says he knows that they got to play good basketball.
Yeah,
they got to play their style of basketball. He's talking about Ruben Dominguez's slump. And he says, Ruben has some issues, but it's not all Ruben. He said, for instance, when we play our style, Ruben's getting more looks in transition, more open looks. He says, when we're not, and we're playing to our opponent's style, and we're in a more of a half-court game, then opponents are all over him, Ruben, right? So they got to get back to playing their style of basketball.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I I asked Justin Lanham this yesterday about tired legs and if you can get tired legs back. Because the style that they play is a fast pace. It's gonna wear teams down, but it could wear you down during the season. But they've had a few days rest. They took
it easy.
Yeah,
they took it easy in practice. Didn't push as hard. He said they looked really good yesterday in practice. He said Dominguez was making tons of shots. They looked great in practice yesterday. So I think he understood or sensed or whatever. Maybe somebody told him, "Hey, man, we can't." Yeah, whatever the case is. The message that was relayed is that Bucky kind of eased up and gave him some rest.
All right, let me throw a couple scenarios out at you. Okay. What will Olin feel tomorrow if? Ready?
Okay.
What will Olin feel tomorrow if A&M has a 20-point plus victory?
Well, I'm gonna feel good about their prospects moving forward because I think that means that they've probably means that Dominguez broke out of it, and it probably means that it's a reset.
Reset. Okay. What will Olin think tomorrow if A&M wins by 1 or 2?
I'm going to say, hey, any win is a good win, and I'm going to say, all right, they're moving in the right direction.
And if they lose by 1 or 2, what is Olin going to think?
I'm going to think that they're probably not going to make the NCAA tournament because if they don't beat Ole Miss at home, I think they need to go 3-3 in the last 6 games to have a
and then
realistic shot.
Win in the tournament a couple games.
Yeah, maybe.
Right? Yeah.
Even though I've been at the tournament before where A&M's gone to the championship round, it doesn't matter.
Yep.
So who knows how much emphasis is put on the tournament. But I think to have a realistic shot at getting in, you got to go 3-3. And if they lose to Ole Miss, I'm going to be very skeptical that they're going to make that that mark, that 3-3.
And then last one for you.
Okay.
They lose by double digits.
Same.
It won't change. Yeah.
Just win. Just win, baby, like the Raiders used
But if
to
they
say.
win by like a very comfortable margin, 16, 22 points, it might make me feel, I think it will make me feel for a moment like, all right, they figured it out, the reset that you talked about, and these lesser opponents, they're going to take care of business. That's what I think I'm going to come away from.
The problem is, if they play really good basketball, then you're going to, in their style of basketball, you say, okay, they're back on track. The problem is moving forward, those lesser teams, a lot of the reason they're, quote, lesser teams is because what they did in the first half of the season, and they're playing better. Oklahoma beat Vanderbilt.
Right.
And at one time was up like 20. LSU's even playing better. I would anticipate A&M winning in Baton Rouge, but it's a road game in the SEC. You can't take it for granted. So, and I think they're even playing better. Not great, but better. So, and then you got Kentucky coming in. You gotta go up to Arkansas, which Arkansas is good now.
Yeah, they are good.
So
remember what we were saying about Florida. Florida's good now.
And then you got Texas coming to.
And they're playing really well.
And they're playing better. So it's not supposed to be easy, and it sure isn't.
No, but remember,
it's better win than not.
Texas was playing much better when A&M went there too. So hopefully
they'd beaten Alabama and Vanderbilt.
And Vanderbilt. This is TexAgs Live. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We are in the Rollo Insurance Studio, and we are hanging out at a place that we call the
Holistic Planning Cool Zone.
It's very cool to hang out here, is it?
Yeah, it is. Especially today, it's a little breezy. Yeah, I like it. But it's what's coolest of all. Believe me, I know because I've heard from my accountant on my taxes. The coolest thing is getting some money and maybe finding some tax shelters and just saving for your building wealth for your retirement.
Yeah, it's a holistic approach that they do there at Holistic Planning. If you want to be a part of the conversation, you can call us up on the Buppies Catering and
Bartending
Hotline 979-693-1150. And if you want to text the show, you can text us on the
Catalyst Pure Performance Energy PPE hotline.
The text
line.
979-693-1150. Thank you very much. We go around the room. We don't go left to right. We go straight through this
drywall.
The drywall. To say hi to Nick Savage.
Hi, good morning, y'all. Sorry. 2 takeaways. First one's with Jorian Wilson. I want to make a comp. Again, this isn't me projecting this is who this kid's going to be. But the build, just looking at him play, you know who he reminds me of? Yordan Alvarez. And they're built very similarly. Both 6'4". Yordan's listed at 237. Jorian's listed at 240 pounds. Both big left-handed bats. Again, not projecting him to be a, all-star hitter like that because you don't want to put that pressure on him. But just looking at him, that's kind of my takeaway.
It's funny because last night the wife, she kind of says, A&M's got some really big guys. Because maybe not tall, but then when you start noticing, Gorhovek's kind of big
jacked,
guy. The Partita kid's a, big stock. I don't know if stocky's, but looks
strong,
very big, strong, athletic. Sorrell. And then this guy comes up. You're like, man,
that's a big dude.
Yeah, I think A&M's going to be all right if they ever get in one of those bench clearing brawls.
Yeah,
I think they're going to be okay.
I think they're kind of stacked there. All right, let's do this. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Kayla Gaither, hello.
Hi, guys. How are y'all?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. I kind of want to talk about something that Bucky said on the Aggie Basketball Hour.
Okay.
This was interesting. He said the last time the Aggies won the SEC, they won the regular season in 2016. They were 7-1, then lost 4 in a row. Then they played Ole Miss and beat them and didn't lose a game the regular season. So could we see something similar happen this season? And what could it take for A&M to play their best basketball?
Could we? Yes. Will we? I don't know. But we've seen this program over the last few years have several losing streaks.
Mm-hmm.
1 year, was it 8 in a row?
Yeah.
And we thought they did enough to get in the tournament. And then even last year, they lost 4 in a row at one point. They might have lost 5 in a row at one point, but I know last year at this time, they had lost 4 in a row.
Yeah, I mean, ebb and flow, peaks and valleys. What does Thomas Dick always say? Strikes and gutters.
Mm-hmm.
And especially this year when, again, physically, they are at mismatches often. So you're going to have some of those times that if they're able. I don't know that they're going to be able to pull off that 2016 rally, but you know what? They beat Kentucky on a last-second putback by Tyler Davis. Maybe not. Maybe we'll see. Maybe we'll see. Who would it be this time? So the equivalent to Tyler Davis would be maybe Vincent.
Yeah, Jamie Vincent or Federico.
Yeah, or probably Rashawn Agee.
Yeah, Agee. I mean, he does lead them.
He
in
does
scoring.
just about everything. If anybody was going to get an offensive rebound or a rebound at all and put it back, it'd probably be your guy that leads you in
second in rebound in the
rebounding.
entire of the SEC.
Yeah.
Yep, 8.7 a game, I believe. Kayla?
Let's talk about some softball. I know we had really big games this past weekend. A&M is now ranked number 13 by D1 softball for week 3 of the season. They played in the Shriners Children's Clearwater Invitational this past weekend, going 3 for 2. They lost to number 23 Oklahoma State and number 19 Duke on Friday, but finished out the weekend beating NC State, Northwestern, and run-ruling JMU in 5 innings. Despite losing the 2 games, the Aggies had their best historical showing in the Clearwater Invitational, posting a batting average of .376, 41 runs, 53 hits, and 8 home runs. This weekend, A&M's traveling to Cathedral City, California to compete in the Mary Nutter Collegiate Classic. They're taking on 4 top 25 ranked teams starting on Thursday with number 16 Oregon, and they're facing Duke again, who's now ranked number 17. They're facing UC San Diego on Friday night, number 6 Nebraska and LMU on Saturday, and number 11 UCLA on Sunday to round out the weekend.
What a freaking schedule.
Yeah.
They go from the East Coast to the West Coast, no sleep in between.
Yeah. Look, hitting's not the issue,
No.
as we saw last week. They're going to have to pitch better.
Yep.
And let's see if they do.
All right, let's hit a break. When we come back here on TexAgs Live, we're going to talk about what Paul Feinbaum thinks about A&M next year.
Huh,
Okay?
interesting.
I'll give you a little quote from him.
The guy that said that, Arch Manning was going to win the Heisman and be the first player to pick and was,
Yeah,
and
that
was
guy.
the the best player since Tim Tebow?
Yeah.
And he's good. He's good, but it's not that Paul didn't overstate things. a little bit.
Things. We'll do that on the other side. Right now, I want to talk about food.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're going to try to find a different way to talk about food, okay?
Okay.
You can't actually mention the item. You just have to mention stuff about the item, and we have to guess the item.
All right.
Ready, go.
Yeah. Succulent.
Oh, brisket.
Amazing.
Well, you can go a couple different ways with amazing. I'm going to go the jalapeno cheese sausage.
I typically put the amazing on the pork ribs.
Oh.
The jalapeno cheese sausage. Oh, see,
You can't say it.
I've already missed. Scrumptious.
The pork ribs?
No, I've already said I always put amazing on. I've recently used scrumptious as the adjective for the jalapeno.
I don't remember that one. Okay. What else? Give me another one.
Dietary.
Oh, come on, please. Dietary. Turkey?
Yeah.
Come on.
Thinking about, high protein, low fat for
You need fat. Sorry.
Yeah, you do. I don't need any more. But how about the how do I say this? Gastronomical experience.
I'm glad you didn't say explosion.
No, it's not. It's an experience. It's the gastronomical delight that is.
Is the queso mac and cheese?
Heck yeah.
Let's go. All right. What about their desserts?
I got to be honest. I'm a big eater, and typically I don't have room left for dessert. But we were there one time. What was it that she made? Was it like a
bread pudding? Right?
No, I thought it was some kind of like
whatever it is great.
First of all, they're homemade, right? Gosh, what was it? It was like a cheesecake of. I can't even remember what it was.
Is it gastronomical?
Was it sopapilla cheesecake?
No,
was
it
that
wasn't
what it was?
that. It wasn't that. But
That's
it
our
was
good friends
something,
at Buppies.
Yeah, it was something along those lines, and I can't remember what it was. But I remember it was tremendous.
Yeah, well, whatever
and I remember I was already full, and then I ate that, and it doesn't. I always find some room.
Are you talking about the time that I went with you?
Yes.
And then I was like, I'm going to have a bite. And then that bite became 10 bites.
Right.
Yeah, I finished it. And then I finished yours. It's 1775, txbbq.com. That's the website. You can call them up, 979-492-6241 and 1775.
And it's good.
I'm Wes Mingan, and I live on a piece of property with my wife and 2 boys and several animals. I work in oil and gas, and I travel a lot, and so when I come home, it's like my sanctuary. I get to see Lauren and the boys, and it's been just a perfect fit for us, and it's really improved our family time. And this is the first land I'd ever purchased, so dealing with the land side of things and dealing with Capital Farm Credit was super easy for us through the whole process. I definitely feel like with Capital Farm Credit, together we are better.
As a reminder, the final segment of the program is brought to you by Double Dave's. That's at 10:50. But right now, caller number 12, 979-693-1150. We're going to hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave's. They've been serving Aggieland since 1984 with your favorite pizza and, of course, those world-famous pepperoni rolls. Reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com, and your favorites are on their way.
Do you eat the pizza when it's piping hot, or do you need it to wait?
I need it hot.
So you eat it with when you open up the
I want
cheese.
the steam.
Okay.
I want the cheese to burn my skin if it falls off. That's what I want.
Okay, all right.
I want it hot.
Okay.
I am not against returning food if it's not to my hot likeness, heat likeness, whatever.
I let it sit for just a minute or two.
Like soup, I want it to be boiling.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess that explains why you're so hot-blooded.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you noticed that I haven't. There's been zero fights with me, zero conflict.
No, but I have to disagree, and I appreciate it, though, because you were ready to fight somebody on my behalf last
when they're talking
week.
smack about you?
Yeah.
Come
And I
on, bring it.
appreciated that.
By the way, I'll
if
be somewhere
got
next
somebody
week.
in your foxhole, you want David Nuño in your
the
foxhole.
loudest guy is usually the guy who can't fight. Those are the facts. I don't make them.
It's been my experience that that's true.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Like Hunter Goodwin never talks like a
But
tough
he could
guy.
kill us all.
He could kill us all.
Yeah, bare hands.
Steve McKinney. Steve McKinney can bruise me with a hard look.
I'll give you another one. He's in our lobby right now. Mark Weaver couldn't be nicer. The most deadliest, the movie Taken, it was based on his persona. Not that he went through that, but that's how he is. Just a very nice killer.
Kind of low profile.
Yes.
But if you're not careful, like a rattlesnake.
Yes.
Just strikes when you're not ready for it.
He's a gray man. That's what he is.
All right.
You know what a gray man is?
I know I'm a gray one.
Well, this is true. Hey, I teased it, so we should do it before we get to Coach Weaver. Paul Feinbaum talking about teams that he think can dethrone the Big Ten. Okay?
Okay.
All right, this is his quote. He was on with Mac and Cube. He says, I think if you're practical, you have to look at who are the best teams in the SEC coming back. And I think it's likely Georgia and Texas on the same level.
Okay.
I think one of them are capable, depending on the circumstances. I don't know beyond that. Texas A&M is a little bit of a wild card. I think LSU is a playoff team. I don't think LSU is capable of making that run, but I think LSU is definitely a playoff team, and I'm not confident in Alabama right now. So back to A&M. A&M's a wild card. I think we could agree with that.
Yeah, I have no problem with that.
I see it. It's kind of like Coach Elko talking about he sees a path to getting 10-plus players in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
I see a path for A&M to be a playoff team that maybe could run the table potentially if certain things are answered. But you know how I am. When there's a lot of questions, I don't answer them in February. Right. I got to see things to be able to answer things.
Yeah, if you look at the areas that you've lost significantly, then you say, well, is Coney going to be a significant or an adequate replacement for Torian York?
Right.
Is Ricky Gibson going to be an adequate replacement for Will Lee?
Correct.
Is Isaiah Horton going to be an adequate replacement
for Casey
Concepcion? Or any of the number of guys they brought in the offensive line, or the guys you
already have
that are growing, are they going to be adequate replacements for what you lost?
Does Reuben Owens take a step up? The rest of those running backs?
Well, as you pointed out, though, Reuben played most of the worst season than Le'Veon. So, and then, of course, the defensive line, too. So, and you feel like you've addressed those areas to a certain degree. So, the whole wild card thing absolutely makes sense. I can't believe I just said that.
But
Paul.
the wild card also might be how this team plays on the road. Again, we don't know what these teams are going to be in February, right? We didn't know what LSU was going to become and what Notre Dame was going to become and whatnot. But going on the road to Tuscaloosa, to Baton Rouge, where else are they going on the road to? They're going to Missouri. Like, we don't know what those teams are, but we know South Carolina, which we've been there. Oh, and that's going to be a new experience, old experience, but a new experience in the SEC.
Yeah, of course, they were pretty good on the road last year.
Mm-hmm.
Are they going to be able to maintain that? And the thing is, why is LSU, I wonder in his mind, definitely a playoff team?
Lane Kiffin's darn good, man.
Yeah,
He's darn good.
he is.
And I don't know if I thought Ole Miss heading into last year was a playoff team.
Well,
And he got him into the playoffs.
Well, we didn't know about Trinidad Chambliss.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'll give him that.
But, I mean, this guy wins 10 games. Other than, his first year, he has been, a 9, 10-plus win team.
But, they're acting like all of a sudden Brian Kelly was this incompetent buffoon as a coach, and that's just not true. So,
but a 10-win LSU team
is going to get in.
With a 9-game SEC schedule as well, right?
Yes, a 10-win LSU is going to get in. So, I guess he assumes that they're going to win 10 games.
All right, we'll get to Mark Weaver on the other side, ask him about the big match this weekend against Texas. Right now, we're talking Milliken Reserve, farm-to-table community in College Station. They got homes, they got trails, they got farms, they got wide open spaces, and their mission is to build a healthy community around nature. They have 2,600 acres of open space, 30 miles of trails and homes and farms. They want to connect families to nature and to each other. If you like hanging out with your family outdoors, that's the place to just go hang out. You can go hiking, biking, canoeing, you can do it all. You can go kayaking. They have evening yoga. They have everything you want to do outside. If you want to go fly a kite, just throw the ball with your kiddos, it's a great place to go do that, and amazing neighborhoods as well. 3 great neighborhoods there. You got the creek, the hollow, the meadows. You can learn more at millikenreserve.com. That website again, millikenreserve.com. We are back here on TexAgs Live. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio. It is the Go Hour presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations, A&M women's tennis team riding high. We're going to talk to Coach Mark Weaver as they just came back from the ITA National Indoor Championship semifinals. And they've got a big showdown this weekend against Texas. Coach Weaver, the Dream Weaver, a.k.a. Liam Neeson from Taken. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. So what are your takeaways from this from the indoor season?
Yeah, well, first of all, I appreciate the Liam Neeson comparison. I'm a big movie guy,
Yeah.
so that's quite
Have
the
you seen
compliment. One of my favorite movies.
It's great.
Yeah.
They get worse if they can keep going.
You have a specific set of skills as a tennis coach, right?
Yeah, maybe somewhat. Maybe not Liam Neeson level, but I'll take the comparison.
I don't know if you've watched any of his recent movies. He shouldn't be fighting. He's at a point where he's like, all right, move on. You can start doing some musicals. But your takeaways from this past week?
I was very pleased with the National Indoors. That's always a tricky one, preparing for the indoor season. We've been fortunate in recent years to do quite well there. And, we played good. There's some really good teams this year. The SEC's loaded. We faced two SEC teams right off the bat, Oklahoma and Vanderbilt. They're definitely top 10 level teams. I honestly think there's 10 SEC schools that could all be in the top 10 this year. We're loaded every season. I think this season's even more than ever. So we played great tennis. I honestly felt like Vanderbilt and Oklahoma might have been better teams than Ohio State, who we lost to. We won the doubles point against Ohio State, and we just didn't quite bring it at all 6 positions. But, yeah, credit to Ohio State. They're an excellent team. They perform much better indoors, and they actually should have won the finals. They had Georgia down at 5 match points in the championship match. So I was very pleased. Indoor season's kind of done and over with. Now we get to go to the outdoor season where we kind of seem to play our best tennis. So,
what is it? Is it at the national championship or the runner-up, last 3 years in a row?
Yeah,
Or is it even more than that?
Yeah, I believe we were playing for our 4th straight national championship appearance because we lost the NCAA championship finals. We won it, obviously, in 24, lost in the finals at 25, and we made the finals of the national indoors last year, so that would have been our 4th consecutive.
Listen to that, Nuño. Do you and Morrison ever get around at lunch and say, man, we're having to carry this program? Hey, y'all added a player from Romania recently, and talk about her and how impact she can make on your team moving forward.
Yeah, we were very fortunate to add Alinka here. Alinka Amare, I believe I'm pronouncing it correctly, from Romania. She's an excellent player. Coach Wilson did a great job in recruiting her. We had some kind of, for lack of better words, bad luck in the recruiting with some kids that had signed and also committed that didn't ever quite make it to campus for a variety of reasons. She's a top player. She's been playing high-level tennis for a very long time. She's a little older and experienced, and her first match is going to be against Texas on Sunday, which won't be an easy task. But she's been playing at a very high level for quite a long time. She's been practicing with us and looks great in the practice. Hits the ball well, moves well, and you can tell she's got the skills to play high-level tennis. So. A set of skills, as you mentioned earlier.
Specific set of skills, yeah.
Mark, how has the game changed for you and for this program? Because we hear in football all these changes. We hear in basketball these changes. What about in women's tennis? NIL, transfer portal. Like, how has it affected the way you have to do your work, your job?
It's starting to affect more and more. I think maybe in some ways I might have fought the change for a little while, but the reality is setting in. The top kids are talking more and more about the NIL money, and we've kind of just gotten mixed messages. I feel like in the last year or two, of which direction NIL's going. It sounds like it's staying at this point. So as an older fellow like me who's been in it for a long time, your mind kind of works. Sometimes in the past, maybe the old set of rules, and it's maybe taken me a little while to kind of evolve and all that, and it's just kind of very obvious the direction that everything's going. I think NIL is just really kind of the front runner of what's going to help in these programs. That's what people are doing. They're just building their programs around NIL these days, and it's carrying over into women's tennis more and more.
Well, to your credit, though, like, you've won in this era, right? So, like, you are evolving, even though, like, we as old men on this show, like, sometimes we don't like the changes, but you've evolved with the changes, and you've won with these changes.
That's true. It's true. And we've been fortunate to build a solid program and a consistent program. And, I think just going forward until, a new set of rules come in, it is becoming more and more prevalent. The transfer portal's heating up now, and we now get more scholarships than we had used to in the past. There's a lot more available scholarships out there for every program. So I think it's gotten more and more demanding and more competitive. But we feel like we've got a really good grip on things going forward now with the ever-changing landscape. And we're pleased. We have an excellent recruiting class coming in next season. We still have a couple scholarships to fill there, but we're pleased with the direction everything's going. It's college athletics is going a million miles per hour these days, and you got to keep up.
Mark, I got to say, I'm curious, with all the success you've had, I mean, every program would like to be able to say, hey, man, we played or won the national championship 4 consecutive years. Maybe some of these other guys can learn something from you. How would you define or describe yourself as a coach?
Well, I'm going to kind of steal some of the girls were interviewed last week, and they were kind of asked some questions about me, and I think some of the things that kind of kept coming up is just my calm demeanor. I think helps the girls a lot. This really high stress situations out there on the tennis court when you're playing the last deciding match. It's 3-all. It's coming down to number 6 singles, and all eyes are on you. Just kind of the recurring message was Mark makes us feel real comfortable out there, and we know what we're going to get each day. Mark's consistent every day. It's not the ups and downs. It's whether we have a good day or a bad day, he's solid, and he's there for us every day. So I feel like that's kind of my personality. It keeps the girls at ease for the most part, and it's high stress situations out there. And
so were you always calm and cool, collected out there when you were playing?
Well, I always had a problem with umpires, to be honest with you. So I was very calm.
Early does too.
I was very calm and collected, but when the umpires make a mistake, that kind of set me off. But that would always actually hurt me. Very rarely would that actually help me to get into it with the referees. And I remember John McEnroe saying he always liked to argue with the referees. That helped him play better tennis. It made me play worse tennis. So, and I even feel like that way as a coach when I kind of, sometimes obviously you need to fight for your team and for what's right. But, a lot of the times I've seen it more times than not when the coach gets heated or makes it about them, it normally doesn't really help. It actually kind of hurts. I feel like it puts your kids in a different mindset. I don't know if it's because tennis is such an individual sport or whatnot, but there's times where you got to fight for your team, but I think the more you can kind of not make a big distraction out there is the better. So.
Yeah, interesting.
How about the way Luciana's been playing?
Luciana's playing, if I had to vote for who's playing the best tennis in college tennis, I think Luciana would be right up there. She's playing incredible. Some of the things that she's been working on is a shot selection and her composure and focus, and she's just done an amazing job of that. I don't know that she's necessarily hitting the ball any better or moving any better, but the focus, just every single point, she's staying in the present, ready for the next point. The other girl on the other side of the court knows they basically have to hit a winner to win the point, and that's very intimidating.
Sure.
Sometimes maybe if you're 6'4" and you can hit ace, 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 that's intimidating, but there's a lot of ways to be intimidating on the tennis court. Luciana can run down every ball. She doesn't miss. She's hitting the ball, this close to the baseline, and she's bringing it every single point. I feel like the opponent has to hit 4 winners a game right now. It's not that easy to do.
Right.
So she's playing incredible tennis, and at the indoors, which has always kind of been her maybe kryptonite, she just played unbelievable. Beat 3 of the best players in college tennis out there. So it's just all-star tennis right now.
Let's close out with Texas. I know they're coming this week and talk about the matchup and what you expect to see.
Yeah, it should be a great match. It's hard to believe SEC seasons are already here. Texas has a very, very talented team. Of course, Howard and I worked here for 4 years together. We know each other pretty well and the coaching styles and whatnot. It doesn't get better than playing Texas on opening day here in Aggieland. So
Right.
I think we're going to have a great crowd. We actually have a reunion this weekend. We haven't had a reunion in a while. We've got a big group of former players coming in, so we're excited for that. And it'll be a high-level match. I feel like about every position out there is a 50-50 type match. Obviously the home courts have been to our advantage over the years, and hopefully we can use that to our advantage. Looks like it might be a little chilly day, maybe 60 degrees and 10 to 20 mile per hour wind, but we tend to embrace the tough conditions, and it should be a great tennis match. If you're a tennis fan, come out and support us.
Absolutely. Come out and support. Mark, I appreciate your time, sir. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you. We'll hit a break. We'll come back with one final segment here on the Go Hour. Right now, Rollo Insurance Group is an amazing group. They've been my insurance provider since I've been here in town, but no matter where you live in Texas or around the country, Rollo can take care of you. You get a personal agent. You get their direct phone number, not a call center, not an automated system, and they want to make sure that they take care of you of all your needs, whether it's home, auto, or business, ranch insurance. Start a relationship with somebody who puts you first. They become familiar with your specific situation, and they're going to talk you through the entire process. When you need advice or have a claim, you'll speak directly with someone who knows your situation by name and face. Visit rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs to get more information. rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs, or call them up, 888-44-ROLLO. That is 888-44-ROLLO, Rollo Insurance.
Hey friends, David Nuño here for Prize Picks. They're back on TexAgs, prizepicks.com/TexAgs. Use the code TexAgs to get $50 once you play in $5 lineups. And Prize Picks is the best place to win cash while watching sports. Football season's here, basketball coming up, baseball, you name it. You go to prizepicks.com/TexAgs and start having some fun watching sports, making some money on there. And you can play Prize Picks in over 40 states, including California and Texas. Remember, they'll give you $50 in lineups once you play $5 lineups on Prize Picks. And they have the new thing. It's called It's Good to Be Right campaign, and they're kicking off the upcoming NFL season with their bold new campaign, It's Good to Be Right. The seasonal long push celebrates the thrills of getting it right, from the perfect prediction to winning your Prize Picks lineups. Prize Picks is good to be right.
And we're back here on TexAgs Live. A little Dreamweaver in the background. It's TexAgs Live. I just said that. I don't know why I said it again, Dan Quinn.
Quinn, that's a good name.
It's a quality name, yeah.
Look, I've been called a lot worse. I've been said I look a lot worse than Dan Quinn.
What? I mean, Dan Quinn's he's a dude.
Yeah,
He looks like I told you.
I'm going to say I'm not offended by that.
Yeah, I didn't think of that. It wasn't my comparison. I just
someone
used it.
told me that last night.
It was last night.
Yeah.
Okay.
Said, hey, you look like Dan Quinn. I went, oh, okay, thanks.
More like Dan Quayle.
Well, see, that would be a.
I actually don't know what he looks like anymore.
Well, I don't either. Maybe he wears his hat backwards and has a goatee.
Maybe he does. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Kayla, let's close out with a couple text messages, shall we?
Yeah,
on the PPE.
The PPE.
The Catalyst Pure Performance
Energy text line.
Look at you.
She's all over it.
So we have a text in from David. He said, thoughts on the Ole Miss women's basketball coach saying the SEC tournament needs to go away. The tweet that he followed up with said, I wish we didn't have the conference tournament because all we do in the SEC is beat each other up. What are your thoughts on that?
So I think there's multiple ways to look at it, OB. I personally like conference championships. I feel like that's just part of college sports. Like, I don't want the SEC football championship game to go away. Like, I don't want it to go away. I want it to kind of matter in a different way, but I don't want it to go away. But I do understand coach's perspective because we heard it from Kirby Smart. Like, our teams are beat up, and we keep beating ourselves up. What do you think, Obi?
I personally, when we're talking about basketball, I don't like having the conference tournament to decide who gets into the NCAA tournament. I know it's a second chance, but shouldn't a champion and getting into the NCAA tournament be based on what you've done over 9 weeks of competition and not one weekend?
Yeah, but what if you're already eliminated?
Well,
it adds some intrigue to the
weekend. It's the second chance type of thing, and I get it. But the reason they do it, let's be honest,
money.
It's for money because it's a big money maker.
Which is why the Big Ten wants to go to 24 teams.
And I don't like that at all. You know that. I'm fine with if they'll go to 16. In fact, I think they should. I don't think any team should have fewer games. I've talked about that than somebody else to win the national championship. Give them 2 home games. I do think you're messing with the fabric of what made college sports great if you start taking away conference championships. And the only sport that there's even a discussion, I think, as far as eliminating a conference champion is football.
Yeah.
And what I do think they should do is maybe eliminate one of the 2 open weeks, start the season a little earlier, play the your conference championship.
And you think the conference championship can or should hurt you in your seeding?
No. In fact, that should be a rule written in.
Mm-hmm.
And then unless you win it.
Right.
And then
it can only help you,
but it can't hurt you. And then I believe that they should start playing every week. Why do you need a month to prepare for the next game?
Yeah. I agree with that.
And they should play the first 2 rounds at the home of the highest seeded team.
I agree with that too. OB, thank you, buddy.
Yep.
Appreciate you. Thank you to the Go, our friends at the warehouse at CC Creations. When we come back on TexAgs Live, John Harris. We'll talk a little NFL Combine that's coming up next week. Then Pat Henry, 10 o'clock hour. Jason Howell, Trisha Ford, Kendall Rogers. You're listening to the world famous TexAgs Live.
Well, Foo Fighters, right? I was watching a YouTube video because I'm a weirdo, not because I watch YouTube, but they're apparently talking about reopening the Kurt. Do you know who Kurt Cobain is?
Yeah, I do.
All right, they're talking about reopening his case because there's a little bit of more. I don't know if evidence was the right way they phrased it, but there's some irregularities about the way he. I don't know. I don't even know why I brought that up. I just heard Foo Fighters. I thought about Kurt Cobain, and that makes me think about John Harris. We go to the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. We'll talk to our good friend from the Houston Texans, their sideline reporter. He's also the founder, CEO, and the president of FootballTakeover.com. Johnny Harris, good morning, buddy.
Hey, David, how you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
It's draft season. It's time off. So there's, not much else going on other than just football and more football and getting ready for the draft in April. And I know it's February. I get it. But there's a lot of work to be done by one-man army as myself.
Yeah. Well, Johnny, I won't say it on air yet, but that thing we talked about last week when I called you privately is going to happen.
Yes.
So,
nice.
Yeah. So let's talk about the Harris 100. Where are we on that?
Oh, we're ways away. I got a lot of paint on the canvas, but I've got a lot of work to do with that paint that's on the canvas. I'm pretty confident in my number one. I'm pretty confident where I have a lot of guys right now, but there are a few that I have earmarked. Okay, I know I need to watch this guy. I feel like he's a top 100 guy. I'm not exactly sure where to slot him yet. So there are probably about 5 to 7 guys that kind of fall in that category. So I wouldn't say it's in pencil, but it's moving in that direction. Not to say the least, but I know where a lot of guys that I've already watched, I know where they should be, or I feel good about where I have them ranked. I just have to kind of round it out with some good watching about 5 to 7 players, and then I can put it together over the next probably about 2 weeks, I would say, just after the combine. I do like to see the numbers. I know a lot of people, the numbers, the combine, and this and that, like they do matter. And I do think they matter for certain positions. So I want to see kind of how those numbers come out, what comes out of the interviews. There's always an injury or something that's happened that the news is brought forward. The Jalen Carter stuff a few years ago at the combine. So I like to have the combine as kind of the last piece, so to speak. And if I can get that, then I'll be pretty close, probably about a week or two after that.
Talking to John Harris here on TexAgs Live. Johnny, we were talking earlier. I read a quote from Paul Feinbaum who said, he mentioned some teams that he thought could dethrone the Big Ten. He had Texas on there. He had Georgia on there. Then he said about A&M, they're a wild card. And I think that is the perfect way to talk about them because they've got so many holes to fill. They did great in the transfer portal, but you don't know how that works, right? Like you don't know if those guys are going to be able to fill the role of the offensive line, especially when it's the offensive line. You don't know how the secondary is going to look. And so, and then again, there's the development piece, which we all agree that Coach Elko's done a wonderful job developing, but are these young guys ready to take the baton? So where are you on A&M based on that kind of notion where Paul has them as a wild card?
Yeah, it seems to fit, the more I think about it. I do think that teams that have had a lot of offensive line upheaval, that becomes problematic year over year, but teams that return guys. I mean, one of the reasons that I was higher on A&M going to the year was, look, they got almost everybody back on the offensive line. And I think that's going to help them in due time. And look, it's one thing to have guys back on the offensive line. It's another thing for them to be good. And look, you can bring in good players, guys that were behind the starters can be good players, but it can be tough to replicate that. I also feel like, and I'm not staring at A&M's schedule, but I also feel like there probably is going to be a little higher level of schedule difficulty, if you will, for the Aggies. And I think that will probably play itself out. But look, this is a team that got to the playoff last year. They played in big moments. I think the biggest thing for them is at the end of the year, being able to go toe-to-toe with the University of Texas. And if they can do that, which they haven't been able to do, they've stood in the ring with Texas, but Texas has, unanimous decision the last couple of years. They got to prove that that's a team that they can be, kind of like LSU was for a little while. Now it feels like they've kind of got LSU under control. It feels like Texas has got to be that team that they, take the next step. But yeah, I think, I don't even know if I'd use the words wild card, David, but I think what Feinbaum is alluding to is it's a team you're probably not going to think about. But when you do, hey, they've still got some pretty good ball players coming back, and they've added to the transfer portal. This is still going to be a really good football team, even with the personnel losses. That said, sometimes you just don't know what the chemistry is going to be with new players that step in, no matter how talented they are. Look, they brought in Concepcion and they brought in Craver last year. A couple of guys moved out, and you're like, man, how's this going to work? And all of a sudden you go, whoa, this works beautifully. These guys are really good together. They really fit with Marcel, and it worked out magically. That may not happen every year. So I think you have to take all of that into account when you're looking at what the team is going to be the next year. And that's kind of the fun of it, right? We can talk ourselves into A&M being 19-0 and beating everybody by 30 points. We also can go the other way and go, yeah, man, but what if? What if the line doesn't come together? What if Marcel gets hurt? What if Marcel doesn't, bounce back from whatever ailed him at the end of the year? I think, there are a lot of things that go into this, but it's what makes it fun. So I kind of like Feinbaum saying that, puts, maybe even a little bit more pressure on Coach Elko and the staff, and you got to move forward. And again, there's change also, because Colin Klein no longer calling plays. And you might have the next coming of Sean McVay, but you don't know that, calling plays. You might also have a situation like I know this happened in Detroit with the Detroit Lions last year. They had Ben Johnson, big call of plays. Right next to him all those years was Johnny Morton. Johnny Morton steps right in. This is easy transition. Johnny, you step in for Ben. Ben's going to Chicago to be the head coach. Johnny, away you go with the offense. He was fired 8 games in, basically, and Dan Campbell called the plays the rest of the year. So you never know how a transition might go when the voice in the ear of the quarterback, the voice in the room of the offense or defense, but offense in this case, is different. And that you have to deal with as well. So maybe that does kind of move towards more of the quote-unquote wild part of it. I don't know if it's as wild, but I think Mike's done a really good job in hiring. I think he's done a really good job in the portal. I think he's done a really good job in setting the expectations of what this program should be going forward. Doing it year in and year out, I think A&M is moving towards that. Another 11-1 year, a 10-2 year continues to move them towards that. And I think, 10-2, I think, is going to get them in the playoff. But obviously, went to the playoff last year, want more. Want to be able to, hit the high notes at the end of the year and continue on to the semifinals, to the finals, win a championship, et cetera. So, yeah, I think Feinbaum's on to something, but there's going to have to be a lot of adaptation to teammates, to coaching staff, changes to all that early in the season. How they do that, I think, could determine what that record ends up being at the end of the year.
Talking to John Harris here on TexAgs Live. Johnny, next week at the Combine, who's somebody you think could make the biggest leap? From A&M.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you got 13 guys going.
You want me to read them to you?
I got one in mind.
Okay.
And this happens a lot of times for corners. If Will Lee goes to the Combine and runs 4.3, and I don't know what he's going to run. I don't have a gauge for it. I don't think he's slow by any means. I don't know that he's a world-class sprinter, but if Will Lee goes and drops 4.3, we're in the 4.3s. I think there are going to be teams that are really excited about what Will does. Now, I think Will, how do I say this the right way? Playing corner in college and playing corner in the NFL isn't different because you're facing a higher caliber of receiver. It is what they allow you to get away with in the NFL and what you can get away with in college. What you can get away with in college, it's like your parents have left and they've taken a trip to Europe for 2 weeks and the house is yours and you're a senior in high school and nobody will find out what you're doing. You get to the NFL and it's your parents are there 24/7, 365, and you can't get away with anything. And I think Sauce Gardner found that out. Sauce Gardner was one of those guys that he wanted to make it a fist fight every time he faced off against you. Every time. You can't do that in the NFL. And I think we've seen that in Sauce's game. And I know the Colts made a big trade for him, But if you come into the league and you grab and you clutch and you hold, man, you better learn how to get that out of your system, because they will make, and I said the NFL will make you obsolete. Joey Porter Jr. is a guy, third year in the NFL. He started the third year. It started to change a little bit. But if Will Lee, to me, goes and runs in the 4.3 range, he's got length. He does kind of have that Sauce Gardner, I'm going to beat you up in line of scrimmage, I'm going to grab and clutch and hold a little bit. He's going to have to work. He's got to work to get that out of the system. But I think Will Lee, with good speed numbers, I think that really could vault him. There's this kind of glut of corners. It's funny because I don't think there's a Stingley. I don't think there is a Patrick Surtain. I don't even think there's a Trent McDuffie in this draft, really. I think the corners are good, but it's deep. There are a lot of guys 6 foot 195, 6'1", 190. There are a lot of cover corners, and Will's kind of in that group of the guys from Tennessee, Jermod McCoy, Colton Hood, Will Lee, Igby from Ohio State. I don't know if any of them I look at and say they're elite, but in the right situation, I think they're really good. And Will can set himself apart. Now, I don't know if that's what he can run. I know Will's got speed, but if you show that you got speed, there are going to be teams all over you going back, looking at your film and being very, very interested in what you can do. And maybe that moves Will up in day two, maybe from mid-third round or around that range to maybe into the second round with a really good combine. We've seen that a lot with corners. All you got to do is run, and teams come flocking to you.
Talking to Johnny Harris here on TexAgs Live. Johnny, Mike Evans coming back. Where do you think he ends up?
I know a lot of Houston fans want him. And look, I love Mike. I love Mike. I've been a big fan of Mike forever. I think Mike stands for everything that's good as a human being. I remember when Chris Godwin was trying to sign, he's a free agent with Tampa Bay, and Mike was like, look, give him my money, coach. I don't need it. I'm good. Of course, I live in Galveston now, and so Mike's in Galveston, so I really would like to see Mike do well. And I know a lot of people, want him in Houston. Thing is, if we have something with the Texans, it's depth. Mm-hmm. We have depth at receiver. And so if you want to spend your money and allocate your money properly, I don't know that Houston makes sense for Mike. Now, Mike says, hey, man, I want to come to Houston so bad, I'll take 1 year, $4 million. I want to sign him up. All right, let's roll. And then we will dominate. But I don't think that's going to be the case. And I don't think Mike should do that. Mike should get paid, obviously, his value and his worth. And I think there are going to be teams that have a need. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers definitely have a need at wide receiver. And again, I don't know if these are places where he'd even consider. But in the end, maybe Tampa Bay is that spot for him. But then again, you get to your end of your career, maybe you want to see a different way of life. Maybe you'll hate it. Maybe you won't. I don't know what happens with Philadelphia Eagles with A.J. Brown. Maybe A.J. Brown gets traded. And they've got to have a big perimeter threat. And Mike ends up making a lot of sense for Jalen Hurts. Putting together Channelview and Galveston would be kind of fun. But he's going to have options. There's no doubt about that. Because the other thing Mike provides, as I just mentioned, is when a veteran walks in a locker room, that is worth its weight in gold. I mean, gold, Jerry. There's so much value in a vet walking in a room. And I think that Mike can provide that for younger wide receivers. And if you've got some young knuckleheads or you just got younger guys that got to learn how to play the game right, I think you've got to take a look that the contract you pay that guy isn't always for what production you get, but where he helps give other guys production in a way to learn the game. I remember when Robert Woods came to the Texans. Robert Woods was huge for Tank Dell and Nico Collins. Huge. Robert didn't catch a lot of passes, but his value was in being a leader. And when that first year we went to the playoffs with D'Amico, the night before the game, it was Robert Woods, who hadn't played but 10 plays or something the last few games, who stood up in front of the room and gave a speech to the players about playing in a divisional playoff round game because he had done that with the Rams all the way to the Super Bowl. So maybe Mike's going to have options. There's no question about that. Now, where those options might be, we'll see. But I do think that Mike's going to have some spots where he can go. And I do think, Houston might call, and he may call Houston. I just don't know that the numbers for allocating money, because look, we got to pay Will Anderson. We got to pay some other, free agents. We got to fix the O-line. We need running back. I don't know that going and getting another receiver where you already have some depth and some good young talent, but you put a lot of resources in last year. I don't know if that makes sense for us. But Mike's going to have options because Mike is going to be valued as not only still productive, but as a leader in the locker room.
Johnny, what do you think about Clint Kubiak and the Raiders? I don't know if you ever ran across him, because when he was at A&M, you were in Houston. He didn't work for the Texans, but just the job he's done, his quick rise. What do you think about him there in Vegas?
I think he's going to be great. I think his system is one that has been successful throughout the NFL, and I think he's going to end up doing great with the Raiders. Now, we've seen coaches and players go to the Raiders, and it doesn't work out exceptionally well, but I feel like he's got a good level head. He's got his dad as a resource he can always go to. And I do think that Las Vegas, and we played them, and they played us hard. They played hard last year for Pete Carroll. I think they'll play just as hard for Clint Kubiak. You get the quarterback. I would imagine that pick number 1, Fernando Mendoza, and away you go. So I do think that they're going to be better. I think Clint Kubiak makes them better. I think the offensive system makes them better. I think good young coaches. He's got a good staff that's joining him. I think he's going to end up doing a really solid job with the Raiders. I don't want it to be too good of a job. I don't want to face them in the playoffs, but I do think eventually he's going to get that program, that organization going in the right direction.
And do you think Fernando works there, Fernando Mendoza?
Yeah, I think he's good for that system. I mean, I think he's an athletic Matt Schaub, which I know people are like, Matt Schaub. Matt was a decent athlete, but he couldn't move like Fernando. Fernando can move. And he's got good arm. He's got a better arm than Matt. And Matt was very successful in that program, in that system in Houston for many, many years. And I think that Fernando Mendoza is fit for that. He's got Ashton Genty. Get him a couple of options outside of Brock Bowers at wide receiver. And I think you get this Raiders offense going much, much better than it was the last few years.
Johnny, what do you think the Texans' list of priorities are at the draft? Like, what would be the 1A and the 1B that they're looking into?
In the draft or just in general? I think
both.
In general, I guess it's kind of the same, David. I mean, they've got to get a threat running back, and they've got to get more offensive line help. And so that to me is the main reason why you don't go out and get Mike Evans, because that's going to take dollars away from some you might need to get a big time offensive lineman. You've got to get offensive linemen there. You've got to get this offensive line to above average, let's say. And you've got to get it consistent. You can't get all the way to week 10 and go, okay, I think we found our 5. We got to find the 5, day 10 of training camp. So it's offensive line, it's running back. I think other needs, defensive tackle, we'll see what they bring back. I just think they need a younger, talented defensive tackle with some athletic size. But to me, free agency and the draft, I shouldn't even ask that because that's it. But to me, if you do answer some of the questions in free agency, well, okay, let's say you sign Breece Hall. Well, all of a sudden, running back moves down the list of priorities as you get to the draft. So it's going to be an interesting one. We don't have a ton of dollars to play with right now, but there's a lot of restructuring you can do. They'll be fine. They don't have to outfit the whole roster, but they do need a high-ticket free agent, be on an interior offensive line or running back. And again, I say this to everybody. When it comes to free agency, just like going to your senior dance, your prom, it takes 2 to tango, man. You can't go out there and do a solo tango. You can't go out there, hey, we'll pay you $100 million a year. But if that player says no, well, you did your best, but the player said no. So in free agency, you got to make that happen. The draft is a draft. You tell Chase Basantis you want him at number 28. Chase Basantis becomes a Houston Texan, which I would love very, very much, which I put in my first mock draft, my 3-round mock draft at footballtakeover.com. I have the Texans taking 1 Chase Basantis, offensive guard, Houston Texans.
Man, I love that. I love the way that sounds, Johnny. That'd be great. That's fantastic. All right, buddy. You have yourself a great week. We'll catch up next week.
All right, buddy. Love you, man. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Love you, bro. That's my guy, John Harris. All right, we'll hit a break. We'll come back with Pat Henry on the other side and get ready for his big week. Or in a week, they will be at the SECs. Right now, if you're serious about getting organized and confident with your finances, take a look at Aggie-owned Paragon Financial Advisors. You know Stephen McGee. He's our QB1. He's our guy.
They're an independent fiduciary serving clients all across Texas. They have no commissions, no product sales, just thoughtful financial planning and investment management. And what makes Paragon different is their depth of their team. They have 8 CFP professionals, a CFA on staff, and credentials certainly do matter. And they know what they're doing for their clients, and they do it at a high level. You can learn more at paragon-adv.com or call them up 979-693-3907, 979-693-3907 to schedule your free consultation today. It is Paragon Financial Advisors. Integrity, expertise, and trust. Paragon Financial Advisors. I wish I had Olin here for it because he loves energy drinks. Catalyst Citrus Spark. This is one of the new flavors out there. Whether you're grinding through workouts, cramming for a test, or closing in on a deal or getting ready for TexAgs Live, you never know, right? Fast becoming the go-to fuel for Aggies everywhere. Zero sugar. I'm all in for that. Or synthetic sweeteners, no artificial colors or flavors. Catalyst delivers clean, high-performance energy with smooth, crisp taste that is never syrupy, designed for both health and hustle. You want to get going, you use this Catalyst right here. It's about pure energy and pure results. And what sets them apart? Packed with premium nootropics blended to boost focus, clarity, and mental stamina. I need this. I'm in, guys. I'm in. Plus, with plant-based caffeine, vitamin B12, B6, Catalyst supports metabolism and energy production, making it more than a drink. It's your lifestyle training partner. Built for competitors on the field, Catalyst fuels strength, focus, and pure results. Buy now at drinkcatalyst.com. That is drinkcatalyst.com. Train harder, think sharper, pure results. It's Catalyst.
And we're back here on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's talk to our good friend Pat Henry this week as they're getting close to the SEC Indoor Championships. And this is brought to you by the Brazos Running Company. From running shoes to Aggie pajamas, this Aggie family's got you covered. Visit Brazos Running Company in Century Square or shop masonhay.com. That is Mason Hay, masonhay.com. Coach Henry, what's up?
Not much. How you doing? Well,
Good.
Lots up.
Yeah, a lot is up. So
Yeah.
we were just going back and forth about our busy weekends. Mine are different kind of busy.
Yeah,
Mine is traveling
great.
Texas.
These are great.
You're traveling the world or traveling the United States.
U.S.
Yeah.
Yeah. This weekend I'm sitting right here. I'm taking care of the team here, and the vast majority of my group is here in town. We have an off weekend, except for we've got to put some people in a very competitive environment this weekend to try to help them to get into that top 16 and get to the national meet. Zimmerman, our thrower, who's broke our school record every weekend. There's a great throwing contest going on in Iowa. We're going to go to the University of Iowa with one guy, which we've never done that before, but I think it's important for him to be there. And then we've always gone up to Arkansas on this weekend for one thing or another. We're going to take both distance medley relays up there, which is 8 people. Sometimes in a regular competition, it's very difficult to run a competitive distance medley relay because it involves so many of your good individual people. You're running them in their individual events. It's hard to come back and run that distance medley sometimes. So you try to get that. It's different. I mean, we've got a kid that's run a mile in 3:58. That's probably not going to get in the national championships. That's incredible to think about. But he may be, 6/100ths out of not being able to get in that meet, but he might be able to get in on a distance medley relay. And so that's what we're trying to do.
I want to go back to Zimmerman for a moment, who's done so well.
Yeah.
So kind of explain to me how that works. So it's a very competitive meet, which means he places well. It puts him in a different kind of category.
Yeah, and they only take 16 people to the national meet, and it's based on your performance during the year. So he's thrown about 22 meters right now, and he's got to throw. I think he's going to have to throw 23 plus to get in to get in the meet. He's sitting number 12 right now, but the conference meets is where really things start to really. Every athlete is focused on being at their best at the next weekend, in every conference. So the Big 10, the Big 12, the SEC, and the ACC are going to be really tough conference meets, and that's good. That's what it's all about.
So just for me to understand the math, you said right now he's currently 12 out of 16. He needs to move up a couple of spots to kind of ensure no matter what happens at the SECs. Am I right about that?
That's right. That's right. But you're looking at what's it going to take to score? What's the top 8? Only 8 score the national meet. 8th place is 1 point even. So you're fighting to get in that top 8. He's got to be around people that are that competitive. It helps a guy like him to continue to be really competitive,
So you deal with, I assume, both types of athletes. Some that need that competition to be at their absolute best, and I assume you've probably in your career run around athletes that they're not at their best when everybody is great. Like they more need to be around inferior opponents.
Yeah, but very few like that
succeed, right? Yeah.
Yeah, very, very few like that. If you're going to be great at our sport, you better be prepared to see people. To be competitive on it day in and day out, and be prepared to get beat that way. Because you can't be at your top end every time you step on the track or get on the runway. You're trying to prepare yourself to be at your best this next weekend. And then you got a weekend off, and then you got the national meet. So it's that kind of preparation. It's got to be, it's mental. It's the mental aspect of our sport. You're not going to get better athletically.
Yeah.
But your brain is going to help you to compete at a different level. That's what I have found anyway. There's no question about it.
So in basketball, we're talking about maybe some tired legs at times throughout a season. There's the ebbs and flows. How do you all kind of combat the reality of that sometimes there's too much load?
Well, you better be scheduling things right.
Mm-hmm.
As a coach, you better be training your people correctly so that they are able to withstand the rigors of the season. I don't care what sport it is. It's you as a coach know what it takes to get through a season. And you better prepare your people for that.
Right.
That's why you have your strength development. That's why you have your flexibility development. That's why you have all that stuff. And you gotta put it together and help your athlete to be prepared to be at their best when it counts. And every sport is being at your best at the end of the season.
When it counts, yeah.
It's the end of the season, no question what it is, So, yeah, you have kids that say, man, my legs feel heavy. 90% of the time, that's between your ears.
Oh, I see. Yeah. So you talked about...
I'll tell you, you find that more in younger people than you do your older athletes. Your younger kids, they're not mentally prepared. They don't have that mental strength to do what it takes to get through the rigors of the season.
Yeah.
Your older people have been more prepared. They more understand. That's why you need older people to help your younger people.
I agree with that. I'm an old man, and I have days where my legs are tired, right? I think to myself, and do it anyway. Just put your head down and work, right? And sometimes you have, that's the growth.
Yeah. I had a hard time walking in here this morning.
You look good.
No, I'm kidding.
So this weekend, a little bit split. Last weekend, you were certainly split.
Yeah.
You had a group in Albuquerque and a group of Boston. I know you don't love doing that.
No, I don't.
But there are good things that come from it.
Yeah, that's part of the change. I was listening to Mark talk before. He's had to adapt to change.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing this, and this is 53 years now. If I've learned one thing is that, as a coach, if you don't adapt, you're in big trouble. And I'm having a hard time adapting to what's going on right now. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. I think anybody who's been in it very long, these are very difficult times for older coaches. For younger coaches, I think they
coming up this way, right? That's kind of part of their norm.
Yeah, that's part of the norm. That's the way they think, and we don't think that way. Coaching has been a lot about relationships all the time, and that is narrowing down to not being able to do that anymore. Because of they've allowed this to happen, and that's the issue.
Well, like I told Coach Weaver, I'll tell you. But the beauty is, you may not feel like you've evolved, but you have. You keep winning. You just won a national championship. You keep fielding great teams. But I think, like in our industry, we see a little bit of evolution that I don't necessarily like, but you've got to figure out a way to make it work while you're doing it.
That's right. No, I agree with you. And, I walked in my door of my house every night, and she asks, how was the day? The days have changed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So they talk about, there's a lot of conversation at some point football needs its own commissioner.
Mm.
Do you think every sport needs like their own like leader, as opposed to an NCAA leader that's who doesn't necessarily think about some of the other sports? Do you think track and field needs its own leader that thinks about every conference, every school, everybody who's competing at that high level?
I think we need, they changed the rules. They did. We need a they.
Okay.
And I think, because coaches cannot agree on anything. You get, in our sport, you get a whole bunch of coaches together and nobody's going to agree what's right. Because everything is now different. It's different at this school than it is at this school. This school has this many scholarships, and this school has revenue share with their athletes. This school has this many scholarships and has no revenue share.
Mm-hmm.
but has more scholarships than this one. And this one uses revenue share to recruit, and this one, I don't care about revenue share. I can offer you a full scholarship, and then there's NIL, and then there's this, and then there's that. So, yeah, I think you need leadership at the top. There's no question about it.
You guys crave rules too, right?
Oh yeah, we're going through every year. I mean, I got some stuff yesterday about what kind of rules do you see that need to be changed or adapted, and but our leadership at the top has been pretty tough to come in the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say this, and probably shouldn't, but I will. Our sport needs leadership from the conference office right now. And from the standpoint of they don't get involved in scheduling for track and field. Like telling me I've got to go to Florida on this weekend. And that's hurting us right now because the strength of the conference is unquestionable. But we need to be told so that at A&M, we have maybe 5 conference schools here on this weekend, and there's 5 conference schools at Arkansas, and there's 5 conference schools at South Carolina or whoever. You make it competitive everywhere you go, and it's just like every other sport. They're telling you have to do this. Mm-hmm. We need that out of the conference office right now. Sankey's got a lot to do. Those people got a lot to do up there, but we need that, and we don't have that right now, and it's hurting our sport. I don't know what it's going to take for that to happen. It's going to be interesting as we go forward.
Let me ask you about a couple athletes before we bounce out. Because in the next week, will you be around to do the show, or
yes.
you already be gone? Okay,
I'm here.
Okay, great.
SEC's here starting next Thursday.
Okay. Richard Lee Jr. Talk to me about the young freshman.
Yeah, he's doing really well. Those are the great times. Those are the people that you see. He's kind of been on the side a little bit, kind of trying to get a little bit better, trying to understand this level. He's a sprinter. He ran, he ran 6:65, and he ran 20:70 this weekend. Those are big time for a freshman, and I think he's going to be better. I think he's going to run better in that year this next weekend. So, yeah, a guy like that is great to see come along.
And then Alexander?
Who?
Solovev? Alexander.
Yeah, oh yeah, well, Sasha.
Was it Alexander? Or
yeah,
it Sasha. Sasha, okay.
Yeah, yes, Mr. Sasha. Yeah, I mean, he just ran out of gas. See, that's part of you start jumping, you only got about 8 jumps in you as a pole vaulter, normally. If you get through a competition and only jump 8 times and get to your best, that's what you want to do. He just ran out of gas there at the end. Mm-hmm. I mean, he won, but the next bar was very difficult for him. That's what we got to find out.
Yeah.
But now he jumped 18:10, and I think he's ready to go real high because he had a couple jumps that were way up there. So that'll be fun to watch. And
then just some thoughts on the SECs coming up.
Yeah, I mean, really tough. What's tough, it's changed is our sport within the conference is more difficult every year. The emphasis has gotten better on our sport. There's been more money put into our sport, so that's good. So there's more teams that are better. There used to be 5 or 6 teams that were really good.
Mm-hmm.
And you just you were worried about 5 or 6. Now you worry about 9, 10, 11 teams. So that's changed, and that's a good thing. So you got this many events. you're going to have to be very, very competitive in the ones that you do well. You can't do all of them well, but you better be ready to do the ones you
Be great at what you're great at.
That's right. You better be ready to go, and that's the fun of it. If you can't be at your best, then we failed, and we start back over and see what we can do.
Coach Henry, thank you very much.
Yep.
Appreciate you very much.
You.
And thank you to the Brazos Running Company and MasonHay.com. We'll hit a break. We'll come back with On TexAgs Today next on TexAgs Live. We are back here on TexAgs Live. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We are in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's find out what's popping on TexAgs today.
Yes, so on TexAgs today, but first of all, as a reminder, if you haven't already, it's always a good time to become a TexAgs premium subscriber for full access to content on TexAgs.com. You can go to TexAgs.com/subscribe to sign up. Now on TexAgs today, Tom Schuberth wrote a scouting report ahead of tonight's basketball game against Ole Miss. Richard Zane wrote a recap of last night's baseball win against Texas A&M Corpus Christi. Jason Howell detailed a football recruiting roundup for our premium members, sponsored by Pilot Roofing, and he focused on the defensive commits for 2027. Olin Buchanan also wrote about football for our premium members, sponsored by Rio Agave, focusing on Mike Elko's Monday press conference. And then later today, we have a ton of NIL interviews. We have 4, one with Houston Thomas, the tight end transfer from UTSA, one with Isaiah Horton, the wide receiver transfer from Alabama, one with Ricky Gibson III, the cornerback transfer from Tennessee, and Angelo McCollum, DL transfer from Illinois. And then we have loads of basketball content coming on the site later today.
Excellent stuff. Thank you very much.
Of course.
Look, if you're not a premium subscriber, you're missing out, homies. So I don't know why I called everybody a homie. Let's get a text or a YouTube comment before we hit a break. We're trying to get back on track because we went a little long with Coach Henry. By the way, if you're waiting for Trisha Ford's interview, it's still happening. We're just doing it at 10:20. We had to move her schedule around a little bit, so we will have Coach Ford on the show at 10:20. So don't miss that in the next hour. Jason Howell, Recruiting Country. We'll have Trisha Ford and Kay Nagley, and we will have Kendall Rogers. So that's what's ahead in the 10 o'clock hour. Okay. We allowed Kayla to get her thoughts together. What else?
So we had a text come in when John Harris was on the phone, and somebody asked about Tank Dell. Do you think he can return to 100% next season?
Yes, I know that's been the talk, but I don't know. I haven't followed the situation closely. That's probably a better question for Johnny. But yeah, Johnny even said it, that's the position. If they didn't feel like he would, then I think that Mike Evans' phone call might get a little bit louder.
Yeah.
But I do think that they feel good about it. All right, we'll hit a break. We'll come back. I want to talk about, so I read a couple different articles about the Big Ten's push for 24 and, the divide between them and the SEC, and just kind of go through that because there are some interesting points of what they're trying to do where I know I don't want it, but it also makes sense. Nuñoism, I don't want it, but I get it. But I still don't want it. But I understand where they're coming from. So we'll talk about that on the other side. Right now, Daily Company, they are a family-owned, licensed, and insured business that takes care of everything when it comes to HVAC, electrical, plumbing, generator services, and they are available to you 24/7, 365. You see their trucks all around town. They're fantastic. HVAC, thermostat repairs, the refrigerant leaks, the furnace failures, the seasonal tune-ups. If you have some plumbing issues, they'll take care of those leak repairs, the clogged drains, the water heater installation, maintenance to keep those pipes in top shape, electrical wiring, outlet repairs, and upgrades for safety and efficiency. Generators, they'll repair them, they'll fix them, they'll install them, make sure that you're ready for any power outage out there. They serve the BCS all over the place, Houston and Austin. They have upfront prices with no surprises. Contact the Daily Company at 979-260-2020, 979-2060-2020, or visit them at godaily.com to experience the daily difference. And we are back here on TexAgs Live. Fake happiness in my voice. We are presented by David Gar. I'm not unhappy. I just thought it was a little bit over the top here. Let's go right now and chat with Sydney Cleavinger with Around Aggieland.
Hello. Well, I'm for real happy because there's so many exciting things going around.
That makes you happy?
Aggieland makes me happy, and all the exciting things.
And going
I'm
around Aggieland makes you happy?
Yes.
Okay.
I love Aggieland.
All right, good. Just good answer.
Well, again, lots of exciting things going around in Aggieland. Starting out with A&M baseball, they opened their season on a heater, sweeping Tennessee Tech after dropping 15 runs on them opening day, following it up with 23 on Saturday and finishing the weekend with a 7-1 win Sunday. Caden Sorrell launched 2 420-plus foot bombs Friday and finished the weekend with 4 hits in Sunday's finale and was named SEC Player of the Week. Last night was a freshman takeover as Nico Partita drilled one for his second homer of the season, while Boston Kellner and Jorian Wilson each secured their first collegiate home runs, helping the Ags get that win over A&M Corpus. Staying in the diamond, Aggie softball started the Clearwater Invitational off by falling to number 23 Oklahoma State 9-8, and then number 19 Duke 8-6 on Friday. But they got that out of their system and turned the rest of the weekend around when they defeated NC State 10-2 on Saturday. And then on Sunday, the Ags run-ruled James Madison 11-0 in 5 innings and overcame a 5-run deficit to take down Northwestern. They finished the weekend 3-2 and will be tested again tomorrow in the Mary Nutter Collegiate Classic against number 14 Oregon and then Duke at 7:30 p.m. And then moving on to the court, it was a tough week for Aggie men's basketball. Wednesday night, A&M fell to Missouri 86-85 in a heartbreaker at Reed after a Rashawn Agee layup was blocked at the buzzer. The final 5 minutes saw 8 lead changes, but the Tigers grabbed the last one with 17 seconds left. Saturday didn't go their way either as A&M dropped an 82-69 matchup at number 19 Vanderbilt. Marcus Hill paced the Aggies with 20 points, but the difference came at the free throw line, where Vanderbilt went 23 of 29 compared to A&M's 5 of 10. The Aggies return home tonight at 6 p.m. to take on Ole Miss, looking to finally get back on track. And then lastly, women's basketball. The Ags had an up-and-down week, starting with a 75-55 loss at number 18 Kentucky. The Wildcats came out hot with a 27-5 first quarter and then never let the Aggies take the lead. But then Sunday was a whole different vibe. The Aggies took care of Auburn 81-63 behind double-doubles from Fats Jana and Nicera Pryor. A&M heads to Tennessee tomorrow at 5:30 p.m.
Good stuff, Sid. Appreciate you. All right, we'll hit a break here. When we come back, Jason Howell on Zoom. We'll get to that next on TexAgs Live. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Live. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We are in the Rollo Insurance Studio, and it is now time for Recruiting Country, and that is brought to you by American Momentum Bank. American Momentum Bank, the only privately owned bank headquartered in Bryan-College Station, and they are committed to helping our community prosper by offering you a wide array of any personal, business, and banking solutions specifically designed to help build financial success with confidence and momentum on your side. We go to the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. We are talking to our good friend Jason Howell, recruiting analyst. Jason, I am shocked. I am flabbergasted. I am confused. So the other day on the show, I'm trying to remember who said this to me. I forget who it was. Somebody on the show said to me that they hadn't had pizza. It was Double Days pizza. But who was it? Haley. Haley said she hadn't had pizza. I heard pizza. She meant Double Days pizza. But I was shocked to find out that Haley hadn't had pizza. Turned out I was wrong. I want to make sure I'm reading your comment to me correctly. You just had crawfish?
No. First crawfish of the year.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, like.
Of the year.
Okay.
Of the year.
Okay.
No.
All right.
I mean, I was just, I like to send you a little, hey, this is,
going on in your world.
This is a little something going on. Mardi Gras, with the Louisiana ties these days. So, first crawfish of the year, which it's not a tip. I mean, the end of January through June, that's typically the crawfish season. So, but yeah, over the weekend, got a chance to have our first crawfish of the year.
Gotcha, of the year. So do you like...
And that's always a big
celebration.
Big time. Yeah.
Do you like cooked crawfish, like crawfish etouffee, or do you just like it the old, the way they used to do in the 1800s?
I mean, crawfish etouffee. I like it all the ways. But when I talk about crawfish, when I say first, it's more like your first crawfish boil of the year.
Yeah.
So we had our first boil, of the year. Went out to a place here in Dallas that we know and trust. With my Cajun wife, she is very particular, especially when we're buying Cajun food. So it's like, it better be the real deal. And so we've got a place over here we love to go to, and had our first bull crawfish. And then last night for Mardi Gras, we got a place here in Flower Mound that we hit up on a decent, for a decent amount of time. For some good Cajun cooking. So had some boiled crawfish last night for Mardi Gras.
Where's your favorite Cajun place to go in the Metroplex?
Ooh. Well, I would say that the two that we really like, there's Bayou Jack's out in Roanoke. That's always pretty trusty. And then here in Flower Mound, got to go with Flurry's Meat Market. So they got a nice little restaurant area. They got they got a butcher shop. They do a lot of craft meats and do a lot of different things in addition to the restaurant. So we enjoy both of those places. Highly recommend them.
Jason, I was just in Roanoke on Saturday and Sunday. I was in Melissa on Saturday as well. We had soccer there in Roanoke. That used to not be a thing, and now it's like a real thing.
Well, and that's a place like that's really grown up with a lot of restaurants, and as a really nice little downtown area. They've had a few restaurants, I want to say, that kind of came out of there, or had early locations there, and it's right there in between Argyle and the South Lake Grapevine area, and right there with Keller to the north, and it's a fun little deal, fun little vibe. There's a lot of things going on as far as just really good food and different things going on down there with music and all kinds of stuff.
Jason, let's talk about some of the top prospects scheduling their visits here to A&M.
Yeah, we've got a running list of different guys. Official visits are getting scheduled. You're looking towards the end of May when those are really going to kick off. But a lot of these guys are locking in their dates already, and A&M's got several. We've got most of the commitments confirmed with their official visit dates. Several in-state top targets are locking in dates. I want to say Kennedy Brown, 5-star offensive lineman, just announced this morning his date for June, and we've got several more from across the country with offensive line, defensive line, receivers. And we're going to be posting updates throughout the next few weeks as things get locked in with these guys. Now, of course, things can change as guys make decisions and things like that. But right now, it's an important time. You got to start locking these guys in and getting your spot, because there's only a few weeks. I mean, you're looking. Everybody wants that end of May till the dead period that starts there around the 20th of June. So you only have a few weekends, and everybody wants those weekends so they can really show things off during that time with camp season going full swing as well. So it's going to be a busy time. It's already setting up to be a lot of fun for the A&M coaching staff this summer.
Talking to Jason Howell here on TexAgs Live. All right, so the 2027 class breakdowns. Last week we focused on the offense. I know yesterday you wrote an article on the defense. Where do you want to begin there?
Well, yeah, I mean, we could just dive in on the defensive side. Of the 10 commitments A&M's got locked in, 7 are on the defensive side. So they've already hit home on both, the offensive or the defensive line and the secondary. Every single one of those addresses needs in those areas. And always, when you look at building your classes, you're going to look at the defensive line and secondary as pretty big need areas. Not to sell those linebackers short, but you just need a lot of versatility in those two areas. And A&M's done a good job of locking in on some top guys and securing some early commitments. You've got 2 big body D linemen that can play up and down the trenches there, and Elijah Patman and Miles Smith. And you got a big twitchy edge in Caden McCarty, who's just really electrified. He's coming off a strong junior season where he was just a menace and all over the offensive backfields with sacks and tackles for losses, and setting himself up as the state's best off the edge. But you're still looking at maybe another big body there on the D line, another couple edge that you're seeing a lot of continued recruitment in both of those areas. And when you look at that official visit list, you see some of those guys coming to town. So big national names, Zyron Forstall, Anthony Sweeney, right there on the edge, Frederick Ards, and of course, at cornerback, you've got a big lockdown cornerback in Raylan Henry, who just earned 5-star status from ESPN. Or no, he didn't earn. He got bumped up into the national top 25, I think. But big lockdown, rangy, lockdown cornerback with a lot of length. And then you've got a versatile nickel corner in Hakeem Frampton, who can play all over the place and has been a standout on offense and defense in his high school career, and locks in on those slot receivers as well. And then you got 2 big physical safeties. Kamari Dorsey just got his 5th star from ESPN. Saw this morning. So that's who I was thinking of there. But him, Jaquan Snell, you've got some really great pieces there, and then you can be a little picky on the defensive line. You can go for best available, or you can find a guy that you feel like has a huge upside that can be a developmental guy. At linebacker, they're really set up well with several top national prospects. J.B. Smith is planning to be in town in April and has an official visit locked in for June out of Swainsboro, Georgia. Got to keep an eye on. And you've got Noah Glover, who visited in January and has had the A&M way up high on his list. Caden Henderson out of Tampa. You've got several guys, not to mention Cooper Witten, who visited in January and is planning to get back to College Station this spring. So you've got a lot of options out there on the defensive side of the football, and you've set yourself up to build on the momentum you already have, but you've got some really strong players locked in, and that defensive side is why A&M has what is regarded early on as a top, 5 to 10 class, and has potential to end up even higher with the way things are shaping up with some of those priority prospects.
Jason, let's focus a little bit on the 28s. Already taking a good look at A&M.
Yeah, and I caught up with two of the best. When you're talking about the state talent in the 28 class and who's up there at the very tip top of that list, two of the names you're going to come across really early are safety James Foster out of Lancaster in south of Dallas there, and Demarion Mays, wide receiver at Fort Worth, North Crowley. And both of those guys, I know A&M has really pursued hard already. Both have been on campus a few times. I caught up with both of them at the Next Level Athlete Texas Top 100 Showcase this weekend. And James, I mean, he visited a few times. I want to say a couple times this fall. And it was really cool to hear him talk about, Mike Elko being a safety guy and how important that was for him. The culture is something he really mentioned, the 12th man standing out. But one of the, I think, more telling things to me was, he had a specific player he's been watching on that A&M defense, Marcus Ratcliffe, and he sees a lot of similarities in his, skill set and just what he brings to the table on the defensive side, and just his build and what he could potentially look like in the A&M defense. Of course, he's keeping things pretty wide open right now, but A&M, Texas, Notre Dame, Miami, a few of the colleges really getting after him really hard and showing him a lot of interest. And but he's definitely one to keep an eye on. If you haven't listened to the interview, go back and listen to it. He's one of those guys that from he kind of scaled it back at the Next Level Athlete. He kind of towards the end, he had a track meet on, I think it was yesterday or Monday, where he's one of these guys that's a hurdler. And he's shooting for a 13.9 in the hurdles, and which is pretty unheard of for a guy that's 200 pounds. And he got a personal best and took first at the track meet. So keep an eye on him. But he kind of scaled it back so he could save his legs a little bit. And then Demarion, again, Texas A&M, Texas, Ohio State, LSU, a few of the schools that are getting after him really hard. He mentioned Coach Mann, DJ Mann, and Coach Wiggins as coaches. He's really been in communication with at A&M, and he's planning to get back in the spring, which will be big. There's been a lot of Texas buzz with him lately, and those Longhorns are coming on strong. But getting him back on campus will be a big move for A&M, and getting him back around everything that's happening in Aggieland, be some positive news there.
Jason, I want to bring up a topic that we've brought up before, but it was asked on the YouTube page about how realistic Cooper Witten really is with his dad going to Oklahoma to help out there. It's still real. It's still possible, right?
Yeah. I mean, look, I get it, and I'm with you. It's hard to ignore the Sooners. I mean, just looking at it on the surface, you have to think that Oklahoma is probably has a pretty good advantage there. But the communication continues with A&M. He's been very clear about wanting to make his own decision. And, as long as there's interest and the coaching staff feels like that's an avenue they want to pursue, I can't fault him because shoot, Cooper Witten's a special talent. And but I definitely understand it. And I'd put the odds on Oklahoma right now. But shoot, we've seen what the coaching carousel can do from year to year, and who knows? Maybe he wants to branch out. Maybe he wants to do his own thing and grow. In an area where he has a little bit more independence. So we'll see. He's continuing to keep in touch with the staff, and we'll see how it all goes as he continues his visits and checks out his options. But yeah, I'm right there with you. Everybody sees it. You can't ignore it. It is something to watch. And yeah, the Sooners are definitely, they were a favorite or one of the favorites going in before his dad went there. And now it's definitely something that you got to pay attention to.
I know you mentioned the next level athlete, Texas Top 100 a few minutes ago, but any other thoughts from your takeaways from that?
Yeah, and I mentioned James Foster. He was my, I guess, my biggest takeaway from there. Just how he handled himself. He was the first in line in drills, and just always had a positive attitude, whether he won or lost or whatever. He was out there to compete, and that really stuck out in my mind as well. As just him having a really good day. Got to see quarterback Ty Snell out of Allen, who recently picked up an offer from A&M. Got some good size, and man, he can throw it. He can sling it out there. So he was fitting the ball into some tight windows and showed he could put some touch on it. Has a quick release and gets after it. It's easy to see why all the colleges are already hot on him and getting after him. And he's also another guy that he's very mature, especially for his age, being a guy coming off his freshman season. And you can see how other student athletes could be really attracted to what he brings to the table, personality wise and to the huddle, leadership wise. So another guy, Westlake's Jackson Cook. Man, all this guy does, he just competes and wins at these camps, and he's coming off a really good season. I've always liked him more. He's an interior offensive lineman. He's got offers from across the country. It just goes to show how deep that offensive line class is in the 27 class in Texas, and he's a tough, gritty, guy who gets out there and plays a really good technical brand of football. It's not hard to imagine him making a quick debut on the college level in the right fit. He's going to be advanced both strength wise and from a technical standpoint, and he's got a tough mentality that's going to help him get out there and compete and put those blinders on and do some big things. I have a feeling we're going to see him make some moves and be one of those guys. I don't know if he's a guy I see Texas A&M going after. He's been on campus a few times, but he's one of those guys that personally, every time I see him, I just love it because he gets after it and does football the right way. And then there were a couple running backs that were really fun to watch. Kendra Porter, who we saw for Newton in the state championship game there, and then Kelvie Jefferson, another who had a strong state championship performance in both in losing efforts, but they're not the biggest. I think Kendra was right around 5'8", but just electric. Really quick. They're versatile. Kelvie is he's shorter than Kendrick, but man, he is a powerful back. He ended up taking home the MVP honors. And then, of course, there's always guys, those underclassmen to watch, put on offer watch. And Zach Williams, receiver out of Allen, 1,400 yards at Bishop Lynch last year, had a really strong camp, took home MVP honors. And then Ty McCurry out of South Lake is one of my favorites in that 28 class as well. That just he has the tools and he shows them. Didn't get to play this last year at South Lake, but look for him to be a factor for those Dragons this spring and into the fall.
Jason, we appreciate you, buddy. Thanks so much.
Always.
See you, man. Jason Howell on the Buppies Catering and Bartending Hotline. We'll hit a break. We'll come back with Trisha Ford and Kay Nagley, talk a little Aggie softball. Right now, a moment for Caldwell Country Chevrolet, Highway 21 in Caldwell, online, caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. If you're a small business owner, you need to listen up. They are a business elite dealer for commercial vehicles. So whether you need service body trucks, flatbeds, medium duty, workhorses, they've got the inventory and the expertise to make sure your outfit is ready for your operation. They understand what it takes to run a business because they're locally owned and operated right there in Caldwell. Their team knows commercial vehicles inside and out. They're ready to help you find the right equipment to get the job done. And here's something for the accountant that's going to love. Every commercial vehicle includes that free oil change for life. And you don't even need to get a commercial vehicle. You can just be a normal Joe. Go in there and get yourself a vehicle. You get that free oil change for life as long as you own that vehicle from Caldwell Country Chevrolet. That's thousands of dollars of savings. Remember, it's about a 15-minute drive, the edge of Bryan to the beginnings of Caldwell. A short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with the great people at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell, online, caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. And we're back here on TexAgs Live. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Talk a little Aggie softball. Kay Nagley in studio to join me as we go to the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline to talk to Trisha Ford after a trip to Clearwater and now all the way back to the West Coast. Not bad. Well, yeah, I guess back for Trisha to the West Coast.
Yeah.
Trisha, good morning. How are you?
Howdy. Good morning. Happy to at least be on the phone with y'all.
Yeah, we appreciate it. I know you've been busy traveling everywhere. So let's just talk about the Clearwater experience. What were your takeaways?
Yeah, I mean, I think we started off rough, I felt like we had good battle, in certain areas of the game, but, didn't execute when we needed to execute. And I felt like we just came back and battled back on, Saturday and Sunday and ended the tournament on a nice note.
Coach, Kennedy Powell and Maya Perez have gotten hits in all 10 games so far this season and just gotten on base. How nice is it just to have such reliable pieces who are also veterans in your program?
Yeah, I mean, KP was unreal this last weekend. I think it's, some of the older players and their leadership. And then KP, for her, this is her last ride, and she's making the most of it. And she keeps saying that, I just want to enjoy every moment. And I think you can see that through her play. But she, obviously hit a grand slam, bunted the ball, made some great base running reads, and just had a tremendous, tremendous game, an All-American type of weekend, to be honest with you. And Maya just continues to do what Maya does, and she makes, offenses, or I should say pitchers, pay. They put a ball over the plate, and she does some damage. So I think both of them are just very comfortable of understanding what their process looks like, and they're executing it at a really high rate.
Trisha, I want to go back to something you talked about, the team, the way you all are so resilient, and deficit is too big. Talk about that DNA and what it can mean for the long haul of this season.
Yeah, we talked about it earlier on in the year that I felt like we were going to hit some bumps until we kind of figure out our rhythm. And I know last weekend's tournament and then this weekend's tournament, we're playing some really, really tough teams and in situations in which you would never do in any part of your season. Never are you playing two top, 15 teams on the same day. You'll play them, one on Friday and one on Saturday when you go into postseason or, in conference play. But I think for us, that's kind of who we are. I feel like every program that I've been a part of, that's something that I take a lot of pride in, is that you're never out of the fight. You're, not until the last out is called are we done. And so we talk about it a lot in the program. I think it's something that I hope that they take from this program and apply it to life, is that no matter what, there's always a way. It's kind of like wrestling. I always think of wrestlers as they're pinned down on the mat and they find a way to squirm out and get up on top. I feel like that's how, I approach life.
Coach, we talked about it yesterday, but you're preparing for 6 opponents this weekend, one in which you already faced in Duke. And you talked about not getting any sleep. So 1, have you gotten any sleep last night? And then just 2, the preparation and what's going into a stack weekend.
Yeah, it's not the time to sleep right now. So to answer your question, no, but that's all right. I'll we'll get ready. But I think for us, the important thing is that I feel like we are prepared and we have turned over every rock to get prepared for these games. And so, I think, at the end of the day, you have to be able to play catch, execute pitches, and be able to do damage in the box. And so it is a simple game. It's just making sure that we have some of those fine-tuned pieces that when we play these high-level opponents that we can take advantage of.
When you're taking on these high-level opponents, the mental focus that it takes to be ready each and every time, how good is that for this program, especially with some of the new faces and what you're all trying to do? Just the fact that you have to be laser sharp from the beginning to the end with SEC schedule still coming.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. It's getting them to understand, especially the sophomores and freshmen and maybe some juniors that are playing for the first time, for them to understand what that is like. And I don't think there's any other environment that we're going to be in this weekend and what we were in last weekend to prepare them for that. And in both of them, as you know, we are on the road. And I think that's another thing that's really important to me is, can we win on the road? Can we win when we're not, at home with Davis Diamond and the 12th man behind us? And that's really what's going to test us again this weekend. And so, for me, it's really about this process and, what are we doing really well and what do we still need to tinker with? And, there's a lot of good pieces with this team and I'm actually really excited to get back on the field again tomorrow.
Through 10 games last year, y'all had hit half the amount of home runs that y'all have now at 16. And they've also came from 7 different players. Just how cool is it to kind of see, someone like Kelsey Mathis and just all these different faces have success with the long ball?
Yeah, Kelsey, her first home run, I believe, last year was against Carlin Pickens in Tennessee. So, I mean, that's a hard one. But I think from top to bottom, I think you're seeing our offense really kind of find some of its rhythm and being able to put, string runs or runs together, but also at bats together. And I think that's, what we need to understand is, you hear me talk a lot about just making the pitcher work and, make life hard for them, make them throw at least 7 pitches per at bat. I mean, that's something we talk about a lot. We want to make sure that we get through this pitching as quickly as we can. And so I think, you look at offenses across the country, I think, it's a very offensive heavy game at this point.
Coach, I want to talk to you about AK and her journey and just talking about resilience and battling back. Just talk a little bit about her and what, especially this past weekend.
Yeah, she had another great weekend. I think for her, it's, continuing to get more and more live at bats. She hasn't had a live at bat in over a year, and I think, for her, she has put in the work, and we've talked about this every week of just when she gets in the box, I know good things are about to happen because I've seen what kind of work ethic she is, what kind of teammate she is, and really for her, if there's a pitch that she doesn't feel comfortable with, she's in the cages after practice, before practice, swinging at it 300 times because she's like, this pitch is not going to beat me. And it kind of comes back to that resilience and grit that we were talking about of how we're not out of it until the last out. That's the type of players that we have in this program.
Coach, you're going to face a really another good set of arms this weekend, just with the challenging opponents. Most popular name, Jordy from Nebraska has been thrown around a lot. Just what's the offense's approach to this weekend, knowing that you're going to see a lot of good pitching?
Yeah, I think it's really to keep it simple. Each pitcher has its tendency, and at the end of the day, we've got to, see balls below the belt and be on time. I think decision-making is going to be big. I think your high-level pitchers, what they do is they pound the zone early with pitcher pitches, so tough pitches, and then they spread. And so if you can get them out of their rhythm, if you can put some pressure on their defense, maybe some small game, I think base running is going to be big for us this weekend, but really it's going to be, seeing the ball below your belt and being on time. And so you just can't miss. I mean, every pitcher, there's some misses every game, and we got to make sure that we take advantage of those opportunities.
Coach Ford, we appreciate it. Good luck this weekend. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks so much. You guys have a good week.
You too. Trisha Ford there on the Buc-ee's Catering and Bartending Hotline. I don't know if it came up in the press conference yesterday, but Amari,
I did ask her about it. I did ask her about it. Yeah, she was like, yep, we wish her all the best, but not on Thursday. So
it's weird to see her in green.
She's had some success there.
She already has 2 home runs, I saw. Yeah,
she's been great. She's such a good player. She hit 400 in SEC play last year. So, of course she is. Yeah.
Okay, good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. We'll hit a break. We'll come back with Kendall Rogers here on TexAgs Live. Talk to you about Chance McClain, my buddy, the filmmaker, the storyteller, the guy who does Heritage Films. He is so great at telling people stories, and not just people, but he can tell your dad's story, your uncle's story, your grandmother's story. You can tell Kate's story, Trisha Ford's story, and he'll do it in a 2-hour documentary. But he also does family businesses. So the origins of TexAgs, or maybe one of our sponsors, Maroon U, like whatever your business is, you want to tell that story, you should have Chance McClain and his team do it in a 2-hour documentary. It's going to be therapeutic. It's going to be fun. You got a family ranch, you want to pass on that wisdom that you learned on your ranch and how you found your ranch and all the things that your grandfather taught you about the ranch. You can pass it on to the next generation. Let Chance and his team do that for you. The website, yourheritagefilm.com. Yourheritagefilm.com. 713-893-8341. 713-893-8341. It is Heritage Films. The song is great. I don't care. It made my, like, Spotify has a whatever songs you're listening to on repeat, and it was on there for a while. And I wanted it to get off because it was like, I didn't want people to look at my playlist, but it's a good song. So I just told the world. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Turn our attention to the other side of the diamond. A little baseball talk. Kendall Rogers of D1 Baseball joining us for his weekly hit on the Buppies Catering and Bartending Hotline. Kendall, what up, buddy?
I'm doing well. I feel like you shouldn't care what people think about your playlist.
I do. I care. I'm going to be honest with you. I think a lot of us care about things we wish we didn't care about, Kendall. I think we do.
Let me ask you this. What would be the top 3 artists that you listen to? I'm
not going to say number 1 right now because everybody hates him. But there was a time, like last week, I love Bad Bunny. I love Morgan Wallen. That's like right now. Like, who else do I have? I don't know. Those are I have some George Strait on there. I have it all. My on repeat has got some Kanye, some George Strait, some Troubadour. Like I got it all.
That's a good mix. Yeah, I'm kind of a mixed guy too. Like I like a little mid-90s gangster rap as well. So I kind of mix it up a little bit. I go from Morgan Wallen to, DJ Screw. That's kind of how I roll.
DJ Screw. All right. What about who are some other? I'm sorry. I'm sure we'll lose the whole audience now. Other '90s rappers that you were listening to.
A little Tupac, Scarface. Remember him back in the mid '90s?
Brad Jordan, of course. I know him by the first and last name.
Yeah, I'm a Houston mid '90s rap aficionado. So that's for a conversation later. Let's talk about the Aggies.
Bushwick Bill, Willie D. Come on, man. The Ghetto Boys. I know. Hey, speaking of, I don't know. I was going to call them the Ghetto Boys. Speaking of the team that took it in their first 4 games. Look, I know the opponents aren't, groundbreaking, but what do you think of the Aggies in this 4-game start?
I certainly like what I saw bits and pieces of the first 3 games. I think I certainly like what I saw from an offensive standpoint. It seemed like an offense that, went to the plate with a plan. I felt like last year early on, especially, there were a lot of ugly at-bats. I felt like over the weekend, there were a lot of really good at-bats. And I think the big thing for me is, Caden Sorrell got off to a really good start. We kind of expected that, right? But, to get, your premier player off to a good start, Jake Dewar, I felt like had a big weekend for A&M. He was a guy that, again, we talked about a lot in the offseason, had a really good second half of the season last year or first half of the season last year for FAU, but had that foot injury that kind of held him back. But, he looked a little bit more physical than I thought. Just at the plate, like there was some strength there for sure with him. And then, we've heard so much about, Boston Kellner and, I know Partita's offensive numbers aren't great, but, I didn't think his at-bats were terrible. And Kellner was good, and then Jordan Wilson gets in the act last night. But the guy for me that I would say he just kind of came out of nowhere, but I think we maybe have undervalued him in the fall a little bit just because of some of these other big names is Wesley Jordan. Mm-hmm. The weekend that he had for A&M, 2 home runs, 4 RBIs, 2 doubles. I think he's hitting over 700 right now, which, as you said, the competition. But still, if a guy like a Wesley Jordan's going to come in and let's say he gives you 330 with 14 bombs, man, that's just icing on the cake.
I agree with you. And we've talked a lot about him this week just because he's one of those names, Kendall, that we knew he was a big deal, but I think he got lost with some of the other names that they picked up in the transfer portal. And also I think he was their last addition. So it was very nice to see his splash.
There's no doubt about it. There's a lot to like here. I didn't even mention Chris Hakopian, who obviously had a good weekend. I know he was out, the last couple of games with a little bit of illness, but, Bear Harrison finally kind of getting that homer mix. And so, yeah, this offense is looking pretty deep right now. I think obviously you would like to see Sadeo and Moss maybe be a little bit better overall. But Sadeo coming off injury. I watched a little bit of Moss to start. I did think that there were some bright spots in that start. So, I'll be honest with you, I don't take too much from the first start of the season. Then, of course, Aiden Sims. You and I talked a lot about him in our preseason chat. Again, a guy in the fall with really good spin rates, was up to 93, 94 with his fastball, his debut in the starting rotation, 7 strikeouts, 1 run, 6 innings, and I think he only gave up 1 hit. So, that's a heck of a weekend for that guy in his debut as a weekend starter.
Any SEC team surprise you over their first 4 games, or maybe in a positive way and negative way?
Yeah, I think for me, if I'm looking at the SEC in a positive way, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
I was at Globe Life over the weekend. I tell you what, Skip Johnson's got a team. I mean, they're balanced offensively. I love their athleticism. I mean, Brendan Brock, a junior college transfer for them. You really don't usually think of catchers as like athletic specimens and speed demons. But I mean, he had 3 stolen bases over the weekend, and they were not cheap steals. I mean, they were straight steals. He hit for power. Datelin Chance, another catcher they have, is a really nice piece, which was big because they lost Easton Carmichael, who was a key cog for them last year. So I like what they had offensively on the mound. For OU, because that's it. I want to say that's who A&M opens SEC play with. So this is actually pretty pertinent. On the mound, LJ Mercurius and Cord Rager were 2 really nice arms. I mean, Rager, a freshman, up to 94, 95 from the left side, just a big kind of country strong looking guy, really good whiff rates. LJ Mercurius, how about this though, Nuño? This is a guy who's up to 97, 98, and the whiff rate on all 3 of his pitches, his changeup, slider, and fastball, and his start over the weekend were over 65%.
Wow.
So it gives you an idea how dominant he was. So Oklahoma, it's hard to imagine someone look better than Oklahoma on opening weekend. We'll see if it's sustainable. Again, it's opening weekend, and I kind of brought this up with people the other day, and frankly, it could apply to any team in the country. But I always think back to the year that we went to Globe Life, and, it was when David Pierce was at Texas, and Texas, I think, got outscored 34-2 in 3 games. And I think they struck out 10 straight times. Landon Sims was on the mound for Mississippi State. I think they struck out 10 straight times. They ended the season as one of the final 4 teams standing in college baseball. So that gives you an idea. You can take a little bit from opening weekend, but it ain't everything.
Kendall, Kansas State, 57 runs. What did you think about that offense?
Yeah, I mean, Dean Kennedy, what a weekend that he had for them. I'll just kind of go around the horn a little bit on performances. I mean, Dean Kennedy, he hit for a lot of power. I think he had 2 grand slams over the weekend, but that's nothing compared to Tice Armstrong at Baylor, who had 3 grand slams in the first game of the season. What's kind of crazy about Tice Armstrong at Baylor, Nuño, is he had 3 grand slams over the weekend. They're all on Friday, and those are his only 3 hits of the weekend. So I guess if you're only going to get 3 hits, that's the way to do it. But yeah, those are the kind of the 2 performances that stood out. And I would say on the negative side, the thing I'm kind of curious about this coming weekend, Louisville lost a series to Michigan State last weekend. Michigan State, by the way, goes to Austin this weekend to play Texas. That's suddenly a really interesting series. And then for Florida, out of the SEC, that was a team that certainly had a lot of offseason drama with Sully stepping away from the program. Liam Peterson, one of the top, pitching prospects in college baseball, had a really bad first start of the season. And that's kind of been the bugaboo with him, is like he's shown flashes of being good, but as we saw against A&M a couple of years ago in Omaha, the command can get really out of whack. So I think for Florida to be a premier team and to compete for a chance to get to Omaha, Liam Peterson is going to have to be good, and he was really bad opening weekend.
Kendall, last thing for you. I know that you were talking about the crowds at the UTRGV game or the series this weekend, and just talk about the popularity of college baseball, and are we at a tipping point for it to even explode even more?
I think so. I'm not one of these overly, you see some of these college baseball personalities on Twitter like, yeah, we're about to get college football. Like, come on now. Let's be very serious here. But I do think there is a sector of college fans who love the college game in baseball. And also, I think there is some legitimate NIL fatigue in some other sports. I think there are people who are going, you know what? Football is driving me crazy, or basketball is driving me crazy. I want to go support the baseball program. And then you have these programs like UTRGV where there's a lot of Valley pride. They don't have some, I know they have football now, but it's not a, A&M type of football program. Their basketball program isn't an A&M type of basketball program. So what they're doing is they're going, hey, we're going to put all of our marketing resources and all of our kind of push into baseball. And so what you're seeing is these mid-majors start to do that. Like, hey, we think we can compete and get our name out there by winning in baseball. And I think that's the formula for a lot of these programs these days, a lot of these athletic departments. And it's smart.
Great stuff, Kendall. Appreciate your time, buddy. Talk to you soon.
Talk to you next week. Thank you.
Later, man. Kendall Rogers here on the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. We'll hit a break. Come back with a final short segment here on your favorite show, TexAgs Live. Everyone, David Nuño here for Allen Honda. Had a great conversation with them earlier today. John Allen's the owner. He's been here forever, and also their GM, Rusty Skinner, great guy. Wonderful conversation. They're super local. They're a family-owned dealership, not some massive auto group, and they treat their customers like family because they basically are family. They're Aggie alums. They love Aggie sports, and they've been serving the Brazos Valley with integrity, with passion, and commitment to excellence for over 50 years, which is very rare, by the way, for the independents because people trust them. And that's why they've been doing it for such a long time. Whether you're looking to buy, lease, or service your vehicle, you can count on them for transparent, no-pressure experience that puts your needs first. And I can attest to it. Had a great conversation about my own situation with them. Their knowledgeable sales team will help you find the perfect Honda to fit your lifestyle, from fuel-efficient sedans to versatile SUVs. Leasing options are flexible and affordable, making it easy to drive the latest models with confidence. And when it comes to service, their certified technicians only use genuine Honda parts to keep your vehicle running at its best, whether it's routine maintenance for major repairs or whatever it may be. And we know that trust isn't given, it is earned, and that's why generations of local drivers right here in the Brazos Valley and Bryan College Station keep coming back to Allen Honda. As part of the community with Aggie spirit in their hearts, they are here to make everyone's visit wonderful. So visit their showroom or their service lane and find friendly, efficient, and memorable situations when you go to Allen Honda. Come see why so many College Station and Bryan drivers choose Allen Honda for their automotive needs, and remember, gig 'em. Final segment of the program. Why do I hear something? Big basketball game here tonight. Ole Miss, Texas A&M. I'm going to call it a really need to win.
Yeah.
Really, really need to win. Won't call it a must win. Kayla Gaither at the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. You have some styling tips for us, don't you?
Yeah, so tonight we're actually looking to see some new uniforms for the basketball team. They're unveiling the core uniforms. I don't know how you feel about them. I think they're better than last year's gray uniforms, if you remember those. But I like that we're meshing with the core. I think the collab is nice, and I like the belt buckle the most.
I love it. Hey, let's go to our core, not our core. What am I talking about? Our origin story, right? Like let's do that. I like the way it looks. It's a good look and great photo shoot, by the way. Hey, we only got 40 seconds. You wanted to read me a stat on pitching?
Yeah, so we had some good pitching last night. Let me find it here in my notes really quick. Gavin Lyons had 6 strikeouts yesterday. Darden had 3 strikeouts. Vargas had 1, and Clayton Freshcorn closed it out with 3 strikeouts. So pitching overall for baseball has been absolutely amazing, I think, to open the season.
Great job. Thank you very much. We'll hit a break and call it a show, actually. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Tomorrow on the show, the Fan Show, guys. Stephen McGee? Question mark? Yes. Yes to both. We'll see you then.